The massive Imperial vessel Eternal Dominion appeared silently in Earth's orbit, its dark hull reflecting the sun's light as it moved into position. The ship was bigger than anything humans had built, stretching nearly 5 kilometers from end to end. Its surface held strange markings and glowing lines that pulsed with energy. On the ship's observation deck, Captain Dae-Sung Kim watched Earth grow larger on the main view screen. He adjusted his formal gray uniform and clasped his hands behind his back. The blue planet rotated slowly below, clouds swirling across its surface like white brushstrokes on a canvas. "Primitive but beautiful," Captain Kim said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. "They still burn fossil fuels and fight among themselves." Admiral Jun Park stepped onto the deck. He was older than Kim, with streaks of silver in his dark hair and eyes that had seen hundreds of worlds fall under Imperial control. "What have the scans revealed?" Park asked. "They've advanced faster than our records suggested," Kim replied. "They've developed rudimentary AI systems and have begun exploring their own solar system. Still centuries behind us, but impressive for their isolation." Admiral Park moved closer to the view screen. "The Empire's expansion requires their resources. This world is rich in metals we need, and the water supply is abundant. Should we proceed with standard contact protocol?" Kim asked. Park nodded. "Prepare the diplomatic team. Let's see how these humans respond to their first alien contact." 3 days later, the Imperial shuttle descended toward the United Nations headquarters in New York. Crowds gathered behind security barriers, their faces showing a mix of fear, wonder, and excitement. Military vehicles surrounded the landing area, weapons pointed at the approaching craft. Ambassador Hyun Ki-lee led the Imperial delegation down the ramp. He was tall and thin, his skin slightly blue-tinted, his eyes larger than human eyes. 5 other Imperial officials followed him, each carrying devices to record and analyze everything they encountered. World leaders waited nervously as the aliens approached. The first official contact between humanity and the Galactic Empire had begun. "We bring greetings from the Eternal Empire," Ambassador Lee said through a translator device. "We have watched your world for some time and believe you are ready for introduction to the galactic community." The meetings lasted for days. What surprised the Imperial delegation most was not humanity's technology, which they found primitive, but how quickly humans asked questions and made connections. Dr. Ji-Min Kang, Earth's lead scientist, particularly disturbed the visitors. When shown simple Imperial devices as gestures of goodwill, she immediately began examining and questioning how they worked. "This energy source," Dr. Kang said, holding a small power cell the size of her palm. "It produces no heat but generates enough power to run a small city. How do you contain the reaction?" Ambassador Lee exchanged a nervous glance with his team. "It uses standard quantum binding technology. Nothing special." Dr. Kang smiled. "But the quantum stability at this size would require—" Her eyes widened. "You've solved the poly-exclusion problem." The Imperial science officer looked alarmed. "How do you know about that principle?" "Your scientific records show you're still debating basic quantum theories." "Theory and application are different things," Dr. Kang replied, already taking notes. "May I see how the casing is constructed?" Similar scenes played out across all interaction points. Human military officers asked detailed questions about Imperial ship propulsion. Economists quickly identified weaknesses in the Empire's resource distribution systems. Children at a school visit figured out Imperial handheld games faster than they had been designed to be learned. After 7 days, the Imperial delegation returned to their ship. Ambassador Lee sat in his private chamber, recording his final report. "This species appears technologically primitive, but shows troubling adaptability," he said. "They learn at rates significantly faster than standard classification models predict. They demonstrate unusual traits: extreme curiosity, competitive drive, and rapid cooperation when facing outside pressure." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I recommend caution in all future dealings with humans. They may appear harmless, but there is something unpredictable about them. They ask questions no newly contacted species should think to ask. They see connections our analysts missed. Lee finished his report and sent it to Imperial Command. As the Eternal Dominion moved away from Earth, he stood at the viewport watching the blue planet recede. "What an unusual world," he murmured to himself. "I wonder if they have any idea what's coming." 5 years had passed since the Imperial ship Eternal Dominion left Earth. During that time, humans had not wasted a single day. Scientists worked around the clock studying the few pieces of technology the aliens had left behind. Military forces united under a single command structure. World leaders put aside old conflicts to prepare for what many believed was coming. Dr. Ji-Min Kang hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night for years. Her laboratory beneath Mount Fuji had become the center of Earth's technological revolution. She held up a small device that glowed with soft blue light. "It works," she told her team, her voice tired but excited. "We've copied their communication system." Her assistant looked worried. "But will it be enough?" Before she could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as the emergency system activated. "They're here," Dr. Kang whispered. Above Earth, space itself seemed to tear open. 12 massive Imperial warships emerged from the ruptures, their hulls dark against the stars. Each ship was larger than the Eternal Dominion had been, bristling with weapons and surrounded by energy fields that shimmered in the sunlight. On the lead vessel, Commander Suho Choi stood on the command deck. He was younger than most Imperial commanders, ambitious and determined to add another conquest to his record. "Display the human leaders," he ordered. A screen appeared, showing the United Earth Council gathered in their emergency bunker. 50 representatives from every region of the planet looked up at him with expressions ranging from fear to defiance. Commander Choi smiled coldly. "I am Commander Suho Choi of the Imperial Armada. Your primitive world has been selected to join our glorious empire." He pressed a button, and smaller ships launched from his fleet. They positioned themselves over major cities around the globe. "As a demonstration of our power," Choi continued, "observe." One of the smaller ships fired a beam of energy at an uninhabited island in the Pacific. The island vanished in a flash of light, leaving only boiling ocean where it had stood. "You will surrender your resources and join the Empire as a protectorate," Choi announced. "Your minerals, water, and 80% of your agricultural output now belong to the Empire. Resistance means extinction." In the Earth Council chamber, President Yun Wusong kept her face calm despite her racing heart. She had practiced for this moment, knowing it might come. "We need time to discuss your terms," she said. "You have 1 hour," Choi replied, cutting the connection. President Song immediately turned to General Haejun Ryu and Dr. Kang, who had been waiting nearby. "Will it work?" the president asked. Dr. Kang nodded. "Their shield technology has a weakness. When their weapons fire, there's a 3-second vulnerability in their defensive systems. We can exploit it." General Ryu looked grim. "But not against 12 warships. We might disable 1 or 2 before they destroy our planet." "Then we need to buy time," President Song said. "Prepare our forces, but keep them hidden. I'll try to negotiate." 1 hour later, the connection reopened. Commander Choi looked impatient. "Your decision, humans." President Song stood tall. "Commander, we have studied your empire since your first visit. We understand your need for resources, but we believe we can offer more value as partners than as slaves." She pressed a button, and diagrams appeared showing improved versions of Imperial technology. "Our scientists have already enhanced several of your systems. We propose a partnership instead. We supply resources, but we keep our freedom and share in the benefits." Commander Choi's expression changed from surprise to amusement to anger. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You dare to suggest terms to the Empire? You improve our technology. Impossible." Dr. Kang stepped forward. "Not impossible, Commander. Your quantum drive uses a stabilization matrix that wastes 30% of its energy. We've redesigned it to be 98% efficient. Choi's eyes narrowed. You lie. No primitive species could understand our technology so quickly. Test it yourself, Dr. Kang replied, sending the specifications. An Imperial officer whispered in Choi's ear. His face darkened. You have stolen Imperial secrets. This confirms you are too dangerous to be allowed independence. He leaned forward, his voice cold. Submit or face extinction. You have 2 days. The connection cut off. In the silence that followed, General Ryu turned to President Song. They won't negotiate, he said. They're too proud. President Song nodded slowly. Then we proceed with the alternative plan. She looked at Dr. Kang. Are your systems ready? Dr. Kang took a deep breath. Yes, but we'll only get one chance. Then we make it count, President Song said. Humanity won't bow to threats. If they want our world, they'll have to fight for it. For 2 days, the Imperial fleet hung in Earth's orbit like dark stars. Commander Choi was confident in his victory. After all, no primitive species had ever resisted the Empire successfully. His officers prepared invasion plans while his weapons teams calibrated their planet-killer devices. What Commander Choi didn't know was that Earth wasn't waiting passively. In secret bases around the planet, Dr. Ji Min Kang worked with military engineers to implement her discovery. The Imperial shields operate on a harmonic frequency pattern, she explained to General Haejun Ryu as they stood in the underground command center. When they fire their main weapons, the shields must adjust to allow the energy to pass through. That creates a 3-second vulnerability. General Ryu studied the simulation on the screen. 3 seconds isn't much time. It's enough, Dr. Kang replied. Our new satellites can detect the energy buildup before they fire and target precisely when the shields are weakest. General Ryu nodded and turned to his communications officer. Connect me to all defense stations. Operation First Strike begins in 30 minutes. Across Earth, hidden weapons platforms powered up. Special satellites that had been disguised as space debris activated their systems. Submarine-launched missiles were loaded with Dr. Kang's special warheads. In the Imperial flagship, Commander Choi was reviewing the final surrender terms when his sensor officer called out in alarm. Sir, energy signatures detected around the planet. They're powering up weapons. Choi laughed. Let them try. Our shields can withstand anything this primitive world possesses. Then the first attack came. 100 small missiles launched simultaneously from locations all around Earth. The Imperial fleet detected them easily and prepared countermeasures. Primitive nuclear weapons, Choi said dismissively. Destroy them. The fleet's defense systems fired, destroying most of the missiles. But these weren't the real attack. They were the distraction. As the Imperial ships fired their defensive weapons, Dr. Kang's system detected the exact harmonic pattern of each vessel's shields. The real weapons, orbital platforms hidden in Earth's upper atmosphere, fired precisely calibrated energy beams at the flagship. The beams hit exactly when the shields shifted frequency. They passed through the momentary gap and struck key systems throughout the massive ship. Lights flickered across the Imperial flagship as engines, weapons, and communication systems suddenly went offline. Commander Choi staggered as his ship shuddered around him. What happened? Report. Multiple systems failure, sir, his officer shouted. Engines offline. Weapons offline. But there's no hull damage. Impossible. Choi roared. How could they? The main screen activated, showing General Ryu in Earth's military command center. The human general looked calm and determined. This is General Ryu of Earth, came the transmission. Your flagship has been disabled without casualties. We could have destroyed it, but we chose not to. We don't want war. We suggest you run. Commander Choi's face flushed with rage. You dare threaten the Imperial Armada. All ships, full assault. Destroy their civilization. The remaining 11 warships moved into attack position. Their planet-killer weapons charged, creating brilliant points of light at the front of each vessel. The weapons fired simultaneously, sending devastating energy beams toward Earth's major cities. But the beams never reached their targets. They struck what appeared to be thin air and dissipated in spectacular displays of light. Shield technology. An Imperial officer gasped. They've copied our shield technology. In the Earth Command Center, Dr. Kang watched the readings with satisfaction. Not copied, she said. Improved. General Ryu gave the order. Execute Phase 2. Earth's defense systems fired again. This time, they targeted the weapons systems of 5 Imperial vessels simultaneously. But instead of merely disabling them, these attacks were precisely calibrated to overload the ship's power cores. 5 Imperial warships erupted in silent explosions, their shields collapsing as their own energy turned against them. No escape pods launched. There wasn't time. Commander Choi watched in horror as nearly half this fleet vanished in moments. Retreat, he shouted. All remaining vessels, emergency jump. The surviving ships, including the partially recovered flagship, turned away from Earth. Space rippled around them as they activated their faster-than-light drives, disappearing into the darkness. As they fled, their emergency beacons activated automatically, broadcasting distress signals throughout Imperial space. Warning: Earth defense capabilities exceed all projections. Request immediate reinforcements. In Earth's command center, cheers erupted as the Imperial fleet retreated. President Song approached General Ryu and Dr. Kang. You did it, she said quietly. You saved our world. Dr. Kang shook her head. No, we just bought us time. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. General Ryu nodded grimly. Then we better get ready. The real war is just beginning. President Song looked at the display, showing the retreating Imperial signatures. Perhaps. But today, humanity has done what no one else has done before. We made the Empire run. Emperor Ta Wu Ba sat rigid on his crystal throne, which glowed with internal light that reflected off the polished black floor of the Imperial Palace. His face, normally calm and composed, now contorted with disbelief and anger. The 12 ministers of the Imperial Council stood before him, uncomfortable silence filling the vast chamber. The humans did what? Emperor Bai demanded, his voice echoing through the Imperial throne room. The sound reverberated from the high ceiling decorated with maps of conquered star systems. Minister Su Min-yoon stepped forward, holding a data tablet that showed the battle footage. She bowed deeply, keeping her eyes on the floor. They defeated our fleet, Your Majesty, Minister Yoon reported, her voice steady despite her fear. Commander Choi's ships were either destroyed or forced to retreat. 5 vessels lost, including the Imperial destroyer Invincible. The Emperor rose from his throne, his ornate robes shifting like liquid metal in the light. Impossible. No primitive world has ever repelled an Imperial attack. How did they do this? Minister Yoon touched her tablet, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth's defense systems targeting the Imperial ships with perfect precision. They identified a weakness in our shield harmonics, Your Majesty. They struck exactly when the shields were vulnerable. An older minister stepped forward. This couldn't be the work of primitives. Someone must have helped them. Traitors within the Empire, perhaps. Yoon shook her head. Intelligence suggests they developed this understanding on their own. After our first contact 5 years ago, they studied the few pieces of technology our diplomats showed them and made remarkable advancements. The Emperor paced slowly around the hologram, studying the battle from all angles. What else? He asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Minister Yoon hesitated before continuing. There's more troubling news, Your Majesty. They've contacted the Rigelian resistance. The throne room erupted in shocked murmurs. The Rigelians had been fighting Imperial control for decades, but their resistance had been contained to their own system. How? The Emperor demanded. The Rigelian system is under blockade. The humans have developed their own faster-than-light communication system. Minister Yoon explained. Different from ours, and therefore undetectable by our monitors. And they've also contacted the Proxima rebels. Far from Imperial Center, on the Rebellion World Proxima IV, a very different meeting was taking place. In an underground chamber carved from blue stone, Resistance leader Jin Ho Kwon stood face to face with the first humans to visit his world. Captain Min Ji Park led the Earth delegation. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's new symbol, a planet with wings, on her shoulder. Your journey here was dangerous, Kwon said, studying the humans with curious eyes. The Empire controls all travel between systems. Captain Park smiled. We've developed our own methods of travel. The Empire doesn't know all the shortcuts between stars. Kwon gestured for his guests to sit at a round table. Other resistance leaders from nearby systems were already seated, their appearances varying widely, some with scaled skin, others with multiple eyes, but all united by their desire for freedom from imperial rule. Is it true? Asked a Regelian representative, her feathered crest rising with excitement. Did your people really defeat an imperial battle fleet? Captain Park nodded. We did. They came expecting an easy conquest. They found something else. Jin Ho Kwon leaned forward, his eyes intense. Your species made the Empire run, he said in wonder. In 300 years of imperial expansion, no one has done that. Perhaps freedom is possible after all. The human captain placed a small device in the center of the table. It projected a detailed map of imperial space, with key military installations marked. We've analyzed their patterns, their weaknesses. Their power isn't as absolute as they want everyone to believe, she explained. Working together, we can push back. Back on Imperial Center, the Emperor had called an emergency meeting of the full Imperial Council. 50 ministers and military leaders filled the Grand Council chamber, divided into clear factions. Supreme General Shin stood, his decorated uniform gleaming. We must crush these humans immediately, send the full Imperial fleet, and reduce their world to ash. Make an example of them that all subjugated worlds will remember. Murmurs of agreement rose from the military faction, but Minister Yoon stood in opposition. A dangerous approach, General. The humans defeated our ships by understanding our technology. A larger fleet means more targets for them. And reports from other sectors indicate news of the Earth victory is spreading. 23 worlds show signs of increased resistance activity. Minister Jun, the oldest council member, spoke carefully. Perhaps we should consider a different approach. If these humans can advance so quickly, they might provide valuable innovations to the Empire. We could offer them special status. General Shin slammed his fist on the table. Reward their defiance. Impossible. It would show weakness. The Emperor listened silently as the council divided into heated arguments. Some demanded immediate human extermination. Others suggested containment. A small faction proposed diplomatic engagement. After hours of debate, Emperor Bai raised his hand for silence. The council is divided, but I am not. These humans have demonstrated they are unlike other species. They learn too quickly. They adapt too well. He paused, looking at each council member. Prepare the Imperial Reserve Fleet. We will eliminate this threat before it spreads further. As the council session ended, Minister Yoon approached Minister Jun in the corridor. The Emperor has made a mistake, she whispered. This aggressive response will only unify more systems against us. Minister Jun nodded slowly. Perhaps. But remember, Minister Yoon, in 10,000 years, the Empire has never known defeat. Until now. The Imperial Reserve Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 300 warships, the largest armada ever assembled, filled the darkness of space with their massive hulls. They had come with one purpose, to destroy Earth and end the growing rebellion. Supreme Admiral Kwon stood on the command deck of the Super Dreadnought Final Authority. He had personally led the suppression of 12 rebellions across the galaxy. Earth would be the 13th. All ships in position, his second-in-command reported. Weapons charged and ready. Admiral Quan nodded. Begin the attack. No warnings, no demands for surrender. Just destruction. But as the Imperial ships moved toward Earth, their sensors detected something unexpected. Ships were appearing all around them, vessels of many different designs, some Imperial, others completely foreign. "Sir, multiple contacts appearing," the sensor officer shouted. They're coming from everywhere." General He Junryu stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship New Dawn. Beside him were captains from 20 formerly subjugated worlds, Rigelians, Proximans, Centaurians, and more. All had joined humanity's alliance. "The Empire expects us to fight like them. Direct, predictable, overwhelming force," General Ryu said to his allies. "We won't give them what they expect." The Allied fleet didn't form a defensive line as Imperial doctrine would have dictated. Instead, they scattered, moving in seemingly random patterns that confused Imperial targeting systems. "What are they doing?" Admiral Quan demanded as his gunners reported difficulty locking onto targets. The answer came when the first wave of specialized EMP missiles detonated near 50 Imperial ships. The missiles didn't try to penetrate shields. Instead, they created energy patterns that matched the shield's frequencies, causing them to overload from their own power. On half the Imperial fleet, systems failed. Weapons went offline. Communications died. "Impossible," Admiral Quan shouted. "All functioning ships concentrate fire on their largest vessels." The remaining Imperial ships fired, but the Allied vessels seemed to anticipate every attack, moving out of danger moments before energy beams reached them. "How are they predicting our moves?" Quan asked as another attack missed its target. The truth was that Dr. Ji-Min Kang had created something new, a predictive AI system that analyzed Imperial battle tactics from thousands of previous engagements. It could anticipate Imperial commands before they were even given. The battle lasted only 3 hours. When it ended, 80 Imperial ships had been destroyed, and over 200 were disabled. Admiral Quan was forced to surrender, the first Imperial admiral ever to do so. News of the defeat spread instantly across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, populations rose up against their Imperial governors. The carefully maintained control of 10,000 years began to crumble. Emperor Tao Wubai faced reality. His empire was fracturing. Minister Su Minyun, who had warned against direct confrontation with humans, now led a growing reform movement within the Imperial government. "We must change, or we will collapse entirely," she told the Emperor in a private audience. "The humans and their allies don't want to destroy us. They want partnership, not domination." After months of internal struggle, the Emperor made his decision. The Galactic Empire would transform into something new, a federation where all species would have representation and voice. 10 years passed. The Galactic Federation headquarters rose on a neutral planet called Harmony. The massive building featured a circular council chamber where representatives from 200 worlds met to govern together. On the 10th anniversary of the Federation's founding, celebrations filled the capital city. Ambassador Min Seobak, Earth's senior representative, walked through the grand garden after the formal ceremonies. Her silver-gray hair was arranged elegantly above her diplomatic uniform, which bore both Earth's emblem and the Federation's symbol of unity. She paused by a fountain, enjoying the peaceful sound of water. The garden was filled with plants from hundreds of worlds, living together in carefully designed harmony. Much like the Federation itself, a small blue-skinned child approached her curiously. The child was Endorian, from a world that had been under Imperial control for thousands of years before the change. "Excuse me," the child said, looking up at Ambassador Bake with large, silver eyes. "Are you from Earth?" Ambassador Bake smiled. "Yes, I am." The child seemed excited. "We learned about Earth in school. Is it true?" the child asked. "Did your people really tell the Empire to run?" Ambassador Bake considered how to answer. She had been there when it happened. a young diplomat watching General Ryu deliver those fateful words. She remembered the fear, the determination, the uncertainty of those days. "Yes," she said finally, "we did tell them to run. But that wasn't our greatest achievement." The child looked confused. What was? Ambassador Buick knelt down to meet the child's eyes. "Our greatest achievement was what came after. We didn't destroy the empire when we could have. Instead, we taught them how to stand beside us as equals." She gestured to the garden around them, where beings from across the galaxy mingled peacefully. "Look around you. Former enemies now work together. Species that once fought now build together. That's the real victory, not making others run from us, but teaching everyone, including ourselves, how to walk together." The child nodded slowly, trying to understand the deeper meaning. "Will you tell me the whole story?" the child asked. Ambassador Buick smiled and took the child's small hand. "I'd be happy to. It begins with a ship called the Eternal Dominion, which appeared above Earth one day." As they walked through the garden, the ambassador told the story of how humans changed the galaxy not just through strength, but through the courage to imagine a different way of existing among the stars.